For generations, Black women have been told to forgive no matter what, no matter the pain. But you have to start to question who has really benefited from that message. What if, Black woman, the very thing that you were told that was supposed to heal you has actually suppressed you, has actually kept you silent, has actually kept you ignorant of your own identity? So this video was sparked by a comment, okay, that I received from an individual who commented on a video that I did about forgiveness. And the video is titled, "You Don't Owe Anyone Forgiveness. You don't owe anyone empathy. You don't owe anyone sympathy. You don't owe anyone assistance. You are not obligated to provide that to anyone." And in this comment, one of the interesting things about this comment from this woman is that she first said, "Well, I didn't watch your video." So she was commenting on the title. She was commenting based on the title. Okay. Now I'm not going to read the full comment because I think it was 2 paragraphs, but the first comment, or the first sentence, the first 2 sentences are what I want to read. Okay. And I wasn't surprised, first of all, that I got this type of comment, because forgiveness, as far as religious programming is concerned, it ruffles feathers. It is triggering for a lot of people. All right. So this comment was, if you don't forgive, God won't forgive you. Period. And then the next sentence was, be humble. And then there was some other things that she said, which I'm not going to read them. The comment is there. If you want to check it out, you can on that video. By the way, I encourage you to go watch that video or listen to it if you're listening to me on the Unleashed Alchemy podcast. Again, it's called "You Do Not Owe Anyone Forgiveness." So let's get into that. Now, the first sentence reeks of so many contradictions alone, based on what religious people believe about this whole concept of God, of a God. Okay. I won't go into all the contradictions because that would be an episode for another day. All right. Also, this comment comes from a person who dives headfirst into the Bible. No other information can get in. It's either the Bible or nothing. I can also tell that this person believes that their Bible comes from some God out there, and their whole concept of God is just out there. You see where I'm going? And I can say that with pure confidence because that consciousness is fueled by religious programming. I was once that person. I was once her. If I had seen this, my video, if I had bothered watching the video like this person did not, okay, they gave me a full dissertation just off of the title, I probably would have said the same thing if I was still operating under religious programming. And the reason I am dedicating an entire episode to that comment is because her comment runs rampant in the church. All right. It was common and is still common to hear people say things like, "Oh, I just want to forgive because I want to remain humble before God, or you have to forgive so that you can remain humble before God, so that God will forgive you. It's all on the same lines, okay? Same thing, same consciousness. And so I want to address a few things right here. Let's look at what forgive means, to forgive. You know, it simply means to offer a pardon, to excuse someone. All right? It is choosing to do that, choosing to give a pardon. So, forgiving is a choice, it is not an obligation. Also, look at the word humble. And it was interesting because I actually did an entire video on the word humble and how even that's laced with religious programming. Look at what the word humble means. Humble, being humble, means to be in a state of misfortune. It means to be in a state of a low state, a desolate state of existence. So that's what these religious people are going around saying. That's what I used to go around saying about myself. Words are everything. So under religious consciousness, the obligation to forgive, just the obligation to forgive is damaging and limiting in itself. But to couple that with humility, you see how that just drains your life force energy. That disconnects you from who you are as a sovereign being. It disconnects you from who you are as one who has a spiritual authority. All right, so let's keep going. So why is forgiveness such a hot, triggering topic, emotional topic at that? Because in religion, in the church, forgiveness is seen as non-negotiable. It's seen as a non-negotiable. Forgiveness is also treated like a sign of strength, nobility, and quote, godliness. Okay? Refusing to not pardon someone, refusing to not forgive someone for their actions, for what they did, whatever the actions are. In religion, in church, that is often labeled as, the person becomes labeled as bitter, angry, and unhealed, especially for the Black woman. That has translated into society. So, let me go back because there's something that I want to say here I don't want to miss. So, meanwhile, as a Black woman, when you were in church, when you were tied to religion, you were told to forgive. It was your obligation so that God would forgive you. So meanwhile, while we have these messages floating around in the church, in society, of forgiveness, 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 meanwhile, you have women who are being disrespected in church and out of church, disrespected in their homes and out of their homes. Women weren't speaking up for what they needed. Women would choose to stay in situations that were hurting them, situations that were hurting them in the church and out of the church. So when you, Black woman, you leave the church, but that consciousness doesn't leave, you will still put yourself in a position to be disrespected. You will still put yourself in a situation where you don't feel a sense of security to speak up for what you need, to speak your desires out loud. You put yourself in situations or allow yourself to stay in situations that you know that's hurting you because you still carry the consciousness of, I am obligated to forgive. Meanwhile, that means then I'm obligated to deal with something or endure something. That's what happens. You carry that consciousness outside of religion and outside of the church because it is still functioning in your nervous system, right? So, also what happens is that you, Black woman, when you're faced with hurt, you're faced with disrespect, then the choice becomes, well, do I forgive or do I pardon? Do I forgive? Do I pardon? Because that's what's acceptable. Or do I speak my truth? Do I speak up for what I require? Do I speak up for how I require to be treated? Do I speak up for my boundaries and take the risk, accept the risk of being labeled as difficult, bitter, and divisive? See how that works? So, to pardon someone, to offer your pardon, Black woman, is a choice that you have. That is not your obligation because some God out there in the sky is expecting for you to forgive. That whole forgiveness obligation is part of a fear tactic that religion has used to keep you subdued and ignorant of your own identity as the original woman. You get to choose to pardon. It does not make you bitter. It does not make you angry. Okay, you're not going to become sick because you didn't choose to pardon someone for their actions. That is freedom. That is liberation. Because you, as a sovereign being, are using the power of your logos. You're using the power of you are embracing your authority to make that decision. You're not cursing anyone. You're making the choice and you're saying, well, no, I don't pardon this individual for however they hurt, for however they treated you, however they disrespected you. No, I don't pardon that person, and I will never speak to that person again, and all is well. You get to decide to do that. You are not obligated. All right. So I wanted to really, yes, dedicate this episode to that comment because that comment shows me why, it helps me remember why I am doing what I'm doing, because that is the consciousness that has to be broken. That is the consciousness that you have to be liberated from so that you can embrace who you are, your true authority as the spiritual authority. Okay? Okay. Now, with that being said, to end this, I want you to go to unleashedalchemy.com and I want you to download, if you haven't already, I have a complimentary 5-part mini video series called From Religion to Alchemy. And it helps you untangle yourself, untangle your nervous system from the fear that really is the foundation of religious programming. You can get untangled. It's not enough to just walk away from the church, to just say, oh, I left the religion. That's the first part. That's the first step. You've taken that first step. but you deserve to be completely liberated. And that starts within your body so that you can reconnect with your true identity. All right, so go to unleashedalchemy.com. Download that 5-part mini series today. As soon as you put in your email, you will get one email with all the video, with all 5 parts in one email. Okay, so make sure you pay attention to that. All right, let me know what your takeaways are. Let me know also too what has been your biggest challenge as you have been navigating your life after leaving religion, after leaving the church. I would love to hear about it and give you some guidance based on my experience. Okay. I have 20 plus years in this. Okay. All right. So until next time, be sovereign.